Yo, what's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing, man? We have Flux in the house tonight. We have Jefke from Flux. How is everybody doing? Appreciate everybody tuning in. Jefke, man, how have you been, man? It's been a really long time since we've gotten together and done a stream. It seems like yesterday we were doing these like every week or every other week for the longest time. But both of us, you're traveling a lot, doing all the business stuff. I'm traveling a lot, doing all the, all the Terra stuff. It's just been a crazy year this last year.
Yeah, like literally last time we met was at Cypherpunk in Nashville, I think. So that tells you everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, travel. I think it's bad enough when one of those hotel chains emails you and says, "Congratulations on 50 nights at our hotel chain," and I'm like, "Oh God, that's a lot." So yeah, it's been busy. We've been busy. But it's good. It's good. Means we're doing a lot of things. So love it.
Yeah, man, it's been it's been real crazy. Had fun though at your guys' Cypherpunk, man. I thought that was kind of fun. You guys were kind of taking people on stage there and just asking questions and stuff like that. At the bar, that was
it was a reverse influencer AMA almost.
Yeah,
so it was kind of the concept. It was fun. It was kind of fun.
Yeah. But honestly, man, I've been trying out, obviously I've been playing with Flux Core for a long time now, off and on. But it seems like right now you guys have some clients now that are actually using your guys' platform now. It seems like Folding at Home. I know you guys did a contest, right, for Folding at Home, right, for a little while, right?
Yeah. Winner is announced tomorrow, by the way, on the AMA. So stay tuned for that. Yep.
Oh, sweet, nice. Because that's still who's on my rig today. That rig has been rented for like 17 or 18 days straight. It's been a really solid rent. You know what I mean? As far as like other 4090 with 64 gigs of RAM, and I think that one is my i9 10850K, so 10 cores, 20 threads.
I lost my connection here.
Uh-oh, Jefke went dark. We still have your audio, Jefke.
Yeah, it's I think it's the USB is resetting or something. I don't know what's going on. Give it a sec.
Oh, there we go.
To be fair, I haven't used this machine in months now. So
right, because
it's probably doing all sorts of updates. So I came in here earlier and I was like, oh shoot, I left something here, so I had a fun surprise in my office. So sorry. But my fishes are all still good and all that. But yeah, no, sorry. So yeah, if something wonky happens, I guess blame Windows. It's doing things.
Yeah. Are you guys still having active customers though, even after this contest that you guys recently ran with Folding?
Oh, yeah? absolutely. Okay. And we're keeping it still very slow. So because we're still in an alpha on the Flux Edge side, right? So and the people that we are bringing on board, they are fully aware of the situation. They know that that things might sometimes act a little different than that they might be used to. So yeah, there's still we're improving, so we're taking all the feedback we get. I watched your video, we took that feedback. So everything that we get community-wise as well, and the Discord is pretty active in the Edge channel as well. So all the feedback we can get, we're putting that in. And meanwhile, I'm flying all over the place, and I have everything lined up. I got providers lined up. I've got customers lined up. We're already working with some customers on the back end as well on prepping them. So yeah, it's all coming together now, and kind of the way we hoped, and better sometimes even. There's some things that we've changed here and there, and meanwhile we're still developing on other pieces as well. Flux OS is going through a lot of updates. Flux AI, as you might have seen as well, going through a lot of updates. Zalcore is massively being
I
rearranged,
noticed that. Yeah.
undertaken. SSP wallets. We released the first multi-sig for Ethereum. So yeah, we've been busy. We've been busy.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, partnerships. Yeah.
You guys have been revamping everything all around. Really, you guys have really kind of put your head down and done a bunch of development here. You know what I mean? Especially over this last year. You know what I mean? You guys have been extremely, extremely busy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know, I mean, honestly, so far, man, I'm out of FluxCore. I mean, out of all the AI platforms that I've used, right? You know what I mean? I actually like it the best, right? You know what I mean? You guys, now some people might think that maybe the pricing control is good, is either good or bad. It depends on who you are, right? But I actually think it's good. I think it's good because, like, I come from like a lot of vast AI, right? Where it's an open market there. So what happens is a lot of times is they'll drive the price down on everybody, right? Which then just destroys everybody's profitability, right? Like when I was on Vast, there's sometimes I'm being rented for like $2, $3, right? It's like I might make like a quarter that day. You know what I mean? It's it's really hard to be in open marketplaces like that. I mean, it can be good, but it also can be bad. Like right now, this summer was brutal for Vast and Chlor, right? The jobs weren't there, profitability went down. It was a really bad summer, at least for some of the AI platforms out there.
I'll be honest. I haven't looked at Vests in a long time now. Kind of focusing on our own stuff, but you're not wrong. And one of the big takeaways from the start was we kind of understand how an open market works, especially in the crypto world. And I used to do mining rig rental a lot back in the day. Same principle, same problem. People would just keep undercutting and undercutting. Plus, location is not always a thing with Vast. So if you are in a location with very cheap power, yeah, you can keep going under, but then other people kind of get left behind. And so we went a different route with the pricing model. So what we actually use basically AI. So what we do is we get different pieces of pricing from across the world, from across different platforms. We take that into a court. And then we have, of course, we created a matrix as well. Might not sound very scientific now, where we basically look at what kind of machine you have, and based on memory, disk space, bandwidth, CPU, GPU benchmark. Yes, I know. I see the questions probably already coming. Yes, multi-GPU benchmark is coming as well. And we take that all into accounts, and then we basically provide a price. Is that price always correct? No, we saw that a few times where all of a sudden the 4090 was 20 cents or something, and I was like, that doesn't look correct. But that was because Vast, the price for Vast for a 4090 at one point was 14 cents, I saw. Which is ludicrous. That's ludicrous. The power consumption on a card like that is so much higher that that's not even remotely fair.
It's not even worth it to even run the machine at that point. I have it at 14 cents right now, and it's not even rented. And I'm like, that's like my break even. You know what I mean? Of where I make no money. You know, so it's like I'm not willing to drop my price any lower than that because there's no. I'm still conducting my 30-day test. You know what I mean? So it's but to me, it's like I'm not going to run at a loss.
And that's never the idea, right? So nobody wants to run at a loss. We don't want to, even if we're in a beta and yeah, you can mine in the meanwhile and all that fun stuff, but you don't want to run at a loss. We totally understand that. So we did some rejigging here and there. And yeah, it seems to be a lot more stable now, pricing wise. We ran into a bug with visualization of it too, but yeah, things are starting to smooth out, and soon enough there will be other things coming as well, more and more focused on the Flux Edge side. But I already alluded to the Flux Core piece is getting some updates as well for the benchmarking, some extra functionalities to make it a lot easier, and then yeah. We will keep building on things.
So I noticed that you said the multi GPU support is coming. So obviously you guys don't currently support multi GPU rigs right now, but
We do support them, but we can't benchmark them correctly.
So okay, so if I did stand up a multi GPU rig with 4090s, would it still be able to get work or no?
Yep, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely, yep.
So the only thing you're not going to see then is just you're not going to be able to do a benchmark score if you got like 10 4090s, right? But you would be able to get a workload. Yeah, you'd still be able to get a workload though for your 10 4090s.
Correct. But the downside at the moment as well is, and we've seen that, and we saw a couple complaints about that too, is that the price is not correctly reflective for multiple GPUs, not as correct as we wanted to see it. But yeah, multi GPU benchmark is definitely coming. One of our guys has been working diligently on it. The downside, and he did a good job, but there's a bit of a downside as well, and we'll explain that too later on. But certain GPUs might not qualify anymore for certain types of benchmarking because they're just not heavy enough. So some cards will drop off for certain benchmarks. That doesn't mean anything bad. That means that just these cards are just a little older and they just can't do the latest and greatest models anymore. But point in case, I've seen 1080 Ti's being rented en masse. I've seen 1070s being rented. Yeah, people are using it for everything and anything, and they pick and choose whatever fits their needs.
Yeah, that's, man, you guys are just doing so much. Let me think of, give me a minute here to think of my next question. I've been just running around like crazy today.
I heard.
Yeah, as soon as I'm done with this stream, I'm driving to Kansas. So it's a long day for me. Do you guys plan on, and I know that I know your reasoning for this, right? But like when you have like a long job, right? Like I've been doing this one job 17, 18 days, right? Are you guys going to eventually implement something where there'll be like bi-weekly payouts for people? Because I know you guys want people, you're trying to keep the funds not available because you're trying to incentivize them, right, to stay up, right? That's your guys' main focus. But the other part is too is like I'm just thinking from like a host provider. Like if I have 10 machines here and I put them all on Flux, I'm gonna have a decent power bill, right? So obviously, we need to be able to pay our power. So I'm just trying to think of if there be maybe, what if there was like maybe 50% of the earnings of every week were kicked out, right? This way people could at least pay their power bill or something like that, but not all of the funds are unlocked. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know.
There's a discussion going. Yeah, no, there's been a discussion going, and you brought it up too, but we had the discussion going before that even. You're absolutely right. The current model is basically protecting the consumer, not the provider, and that's not nice to the providers. The reason we do that is that let's say we do a payment every day, right? And your payment is $10 for that day. What we would get at that point is that some people might say, "Hey, I'll take my cut," and let's say I cut it off, and I think it's a 20% loss or something. That's
right.
That can even be changed. But let's say they do that. They don't see that as a $2 loss. They see that as I made $8 today. But the person renting that machine at that point, he just lost his machine, and he now has to go and figure out what other machine I'm going to be using. And then he goes to the next machine. Same thing happens now. That's 2 days in a row that he loses his machine. So that's not a really an ideal situation for the consumer. Yeah. So we're trying to find the balance there, and that's basically a lot of the things that we're playing with. Pricing is one of them, but a lot of it is basically trying to find the middle ground that makes it fair for both parties, consumer and provider. And yeah, you're absolutely right. After 17 days, I'm pretty sure you probably racked up a nice balance at this point, and you can probably see the balance, but you can't get to the balance, and that's frustrating too. We totally get that. So we have a lot of discussions at the moment. We had a fun one this week, and we said, okay, let's take a break on it for a couple days, because we have a lot of other things on the go as well. But yeah, we totally get it. That's something that we will have to address.
What about an idea maybe too of of jobs? And I don't know if this would be seen as like, I don't know, maybe trying to. It's not really playing the system, but it's like, what if you actually? Because I've never rented a rig before, right? Because I don't do a lot of the language models and stuff like that. But when you rent it, do you rent it? You rent it for X amount of time, right? For like a day, a week, or no? Or you just you put a certain amount of dollars or flux in there, right, to rent it?
Yeah, it's a balance, right? So you buy with your flux, you buy a balance, and that balance then gets put towards the rents that you take. So you put $100 in, and you have something that's $10 a day. Well, you have basically 10 days of renting power. So that's basically what's happening.
So in theory, though, if somebody kept putting $100 in, it would just keep staying rented. It would just keep going. Because what I was kind of getting at is, if there was a way to make people put a balance to the machines, then you could have them have an expected release date. You know what I mean? Like okay, this rig here is rented for 61 days. You know what I mean? Expected 61 days. You know what I mean? Unless the person like actually puts back in for that specific balance for that machine. I don't know if you guys can do something like that. I know your guys' system doesn't work like that currently, but maybe it's just an idea. And this way people can kind of have an idea of how long the system's going to be rented for, right? A week, 2 months, a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So keep in mind. So at the moment, it's the pure basic piece that we have going, right? So we are opening up, and there will be more things coming online, more opportunities and more changes that we have on the roadmap. But at the moment, the biggest thing was, okay, let's just do a 1-for-1. Let's make sure all the bugs are cleared out, so there's no issues in that thing. Because if we would have opened up all the ideas that we have, and timed rent is one of them, if we would open that up and we run into issues, then the question is, okay, in which part do we have the issue? So it's also
more troubleshooting.
It's more troubleshooting. It makes things more complicated. Where is the issue? Is it in the time piece? Is it in the deployment piece? Is it in the rental piece itself? So everything is just a matter of it's a controlled rollout. And come on, this is an alpha, and it's a working alpha, and honestly, with not that many flaws on the rental side of things.
It's actually really, really good. No, just all suggestions. I don't expect any of this in the near future.
And we take and what you brought up is part of what we have on the roadmap as well. Is basically a timed rent. So the start date and the end date, and that was always part of the plan. We call that it's part of the custom type of deployments, where people can say, hey, at this time we want to start a big project. It's going to last for 3 months. Be ready for those 3 months. But there will be some caveats on the other side. If you then join up and then your machine drops off because of internet issues, power issues, or whatever, or instability on the machine, there might be a bigger hit, for instance. So there's a lot of things that come into play with that. But yeah, it's on the roadmap. We were playing with different type of payout systems, different timings on that. It's just a matter of finding the right balance.
And honestly, with gaining flux with your AI, like I think there's going to be people spinning up more nodes, in my opinion, because you make way more flux doing the AI compute. You know what I mean? Than mining the coin natively. So I could definitely see people also spinning up more infrastructure for you guys as far as, node deployments as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't leak too much, and you got me at an awkward time because tomorrow is the AMA as well. So but yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You basically gain more flux doing this type of work, which is what we always said. but yeah, and yeah, and like us, and if you're not doing any useful work, no, I'll let him do the thing tomorrow. But if there's any if there's no work being done on your machine, you'll be mining, or you don't have to mine, but you can be mining your own favorite coin or project that you're supporting. If you can still find a GPU project at this point, because it seems everybody seems to be moving away from it for some reason.
Yeah, that seems to be the popular thing of late. Is everybody is going out to ASICs? You know, yeah, that's unfortunate. There's not that many good GPU mineable coins anymore. Few and far between.
And that's it's not something I like seeing. I know Dan doesn't like seeing it either. I always find everybody has a GPU in their machine. Everybody. And some have good machines and with good cards, and yeah, they can make more, but then again, they have to pay more for that card. But other people you still have your own piece to the blockchain, and to me, it kind of is taking away that thing. Like, if I want to be part of a chain, I'm gonna have to, and I'm not gonna mention any of the coins, but I would have to buy that particular machine. And then the downside of those machines in my book always is that the moment you buy it, you're already obsolete, and because there's already somebody making a better version of that machine. So
yeah,
the GPU at the end of the day, if it's not profitable to mine anymore, you can still play games on that thing. You can still put it in a machine and enjoy it after your ASIC is done and no longer profitable. It's a brick, and people know that I love my bricks, but it's not the brick you can use properly for something. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel that. Yeah, I have a few KS3Ms. They're pretty much bricks at this point. So it's, ASICs that don't even make a year is insane. It is very aggressive out there.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
thank
If
you,
you're
Dan.
in early, is he? That's for me,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, thanks, Dan, for the 1999 super chat, man. Appreciate it, Dan. Have a lot of the Flux guys in the chat. Appreciate you guys supporting, hanging out with us. It's the Caspa ASICs and all these new companies coming out they're driving up the network hash rates, you know what I mean, and the difficulties. And as soon as they release this, if you're not in batch 1, which some batches are even more riskier down the road, because I like, you got Radiant now that just all their stuff got announced, and I think that's just going to be bad. You could just totally tell from when they were mining with these before that the price totally tanked. That it is not going to support all the sell pressure. It's just going to drive it into the ground.
That's definitely a risk. I'm not saying that that's going to happen for every coin out there, but I do want to put a caveat and a big exclamation mark on buying these machines. If you are going the ASIC route, and you do I'll be honest, I have ASICs myself, but if you do buy an ASIC, make sure at least you buy it from a reputable company, and not just some random website that you find on Twitter. But it's don't get scammed and lose money, because anyway.
Lisa has a question for you guys. She's asked, now that we talked about nodes, do you plan to reduce the bail for them, or
probably the stake or something?
Oh, yeah. You mean you're looking for the reduction, right? To do another collateral halving for the nodes. Do you guys have it now? You guys are only going to do collateral halvings on the nodes when there's, like 75% of the compute being used, right? And then when you guys need to do the collateral halving, you guys will do it then, or do you guys have a schedule for that?
We have, yes. So I think we're at 55% of the nodes are being utilized at the moment. But yeah, we always have a plan ready to go. We even discussed it even this week still. But yeah, we always have yeah, we always have our plans ready to rock and roll. There's some cool stuff coming out for Flux OS, but I think we might see a halving next year. We do expect utilization to go way up, and so when we release a couple things, we definitely expect the usage to go up, and in that case, we'll have to do a halving. And then the question, of course, that follows is if when you do a halving, will there be any other technical requirements that will then all be properly introduced and properly explained when the time comes, and well in advance, so that nobody risks losing his notes, even though I know for sure that there will be people coming a week or 2 weeks later after the halving event that they're like, hey, my note is down. What happened? Because some people just set and forget. Point, myself included. Thank you, KiiNG, for reminding me that my notes needed to be rebooted a couple weeks ago. So yeah, there's definitely when we do the halving, it'll be all properly announced so that you know.
Oh, so if there is a halving though, the tiers will stay the same though. So the actual hardware requirements will stay the same, but just the amount will reduce, or will there be different hardware requirements as well? Like you guys might up the hardware requirements.
Yeah,
okay.
we might up the requirements. We might not in this halving. It might be in the next one, but we'll see. Those are things that are still on the table, but for now we're focusing on the tech itself and making sure that we want to make the changes that we want to make to the product first before we start thinking of doing anything in that regard. But collateral, yes. The technology piece, the parameters to and the behind it, that's up for discussion. So we'll see.
Okay, nice. Are there any other? Well, I know you're not allowed to leak too much, but is there anything else you can talk about that maybe I haven't really touched on, or maybe
we haven't talked
about?
No, Flux AI is one of the things that we've been playing with, right? So I think tomorrow with the AMA we'll bring on Daz. Daz has been working very diligently with the team, and he created one hell of a product. Him and Parker started working on Flux AI after a conference that I attended. I sent them some ideas on what I was looking for. They took it and they built something way better than I even imagined. And it's something that a lot of the customers that I'm working with and talking with that they're asking for. And it's all running on Flux Edge. So it's folks like you, folks like me, all providing the compute power. So yeah, we're gonna showcase it tomorrow. We will showcase, and you can try it, by the way, yourself if you're interested. If you haven't tried it yourself, Flux AI, I definitely recommend it. But there we'll be releasing something new as well soon enough. So you'll be able to create your own images. So you don't have to do anything special like I was doing with Jupyter Notebook and putting code in the Jupyter Notebook and playing with it. But yeah, everything slowly but surely, we're releasing more and more features in that as well. So yet another program that we're gonna be working on. And before anybody panics in the chat, from oh my god, even more products and it's gonna divert attention from people. No, every time, and you see us onboarding people constantly. So we build out the team, we expand, and every time we have a new avenue that we take on, SSP, Cellcore, Flux AI now, we have a team that's basically dedicated to work on that. But yeah, I still have to find a way to clone myself and some of my business dev guys, because the more and more products we have, the more and more things that come on my plate that I can find partners and providers for, right? And consumers. So yeah, it's coming together.
So with the Flux AI though, is it going to randomly pick out machines that it can use to run the simulations for at any given moment? Like how does that work then? Is it will it just API over for a few minutes just to run the model and then just come right off, or will it rent it for an extended amount of time? Or
again, yes. It's a multitude of things. So it's we have a baseline, and so we have base containers running on a bunch of machines already, that people can so that we have our stable platform, and then at the same time we can up it and we can scale up and we scale down. So with our partnerships that we've built out with the folks from SUSE and all that, we have ways now to increase loads and diversify and scale up and down wherever we need to and at every given time. And this is still an early release version, right? So the big intent for Flux AI is that, one, you can you're using basically a ChatGPT variant. We're using, I believe we're using Llama 3.1, which is what Meta created. So you have the same technology that Meta and Facebook are using, which is pretty cool. Is it ChatGPT 4.0? No. But at the moment, it's also completely free. So you do whatever. And whatever you do with that AI, you do you. I know we have some disclaimers in it. And that you have to be careful. It's an AI generated thing. It's not always 100% correct. And you have to be careful how you utilize it, but it's all you. And we don't control the data. That's your thing. That's the biggest scary piece with ChatGPT is the fact that you don't know what happens with your data in that regard. And a lot of companies have come to us, and I talk with a ton of folks at all of these trade shows, not just blockchain conferences, but I go to AI, I go to cloud, I go to medical pieces. And a lot of folks out there who have AI software, it's literally just them connecting to OpenAI or ChatGPT and utilizing them. So that's part of the reason that we built this out, is we want to have an alternative out there for folks to utilize. And there's a lot more things coming, and I'm pretty sure Das will explain tomorrow on the AMA what he has on the roadmap. I'm not going to steal his thunder there, but yeah, we're pretty cool. It's pretty cool how it's all working. And if you haven't tried it, my biggest thing, and I was using ChatGPT today and then Flux AI, and the same question, I was asking 2 questions on Flux AI versus still waiting on my 1 question on ChatGPT. It's a lot faster, and I use the paid version of ChatGPT even. So yeah, it's I don't know what they're using in the background, ChatGPT or OpenAI. I think it's H100s, or I'm assuming it is. But yeah, we've been doing this with 3090s, 4090s. At one point, we even used 3060s. So anything that we can fit the model on memory-wise, we've been using.
yeah, and I mean, as far as like companies go, there's even some companies, at least that I've heard of from some of the other guys that work, in the tech industry, that they don't allow them to use the ChatGPT because of the information being stored and not having control of it. You can't put certain things on there, right, to use for work, because you don't have control of the data, obviously. So some things you can't use for that. And as far as their infrastructure goes, right, they have a limited amount of infrastructure, right? Like, how many people use ChatGPT, right, where they have a limited number of H100s, right? They only have so many, and if everybody's pinging it around the world, right, they're only going to be able to, put so much throughput, right, on their GPUs, because in their data center they only have so many. So as more people use it or do complicated things, the longer it takes for everybody to get their results back, which is going to be nice, because if now with you guys using like Kubernetes, though, I'm assuming that when you guys do rent, that you guys are just able to encompass everything into one, right? Like, you guys could rent like 13090s from a bunch of different people, right? And you guys can treat it as a single as a single, essentially, computer.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep,
Yeah.
you're 100% right. And if one drops off, it doesn't hurt the rest, right? So see it as a big swarm of compute power, and even if some of them go down or for whatever reasons, the other ones will pick it up, and we can plug in more whenever we want. Yeah, it's is that I see geek of all trades. I love how
Oh,
the model says that it's running on V100s and A100s. We just think about that would be a very costly endeavor for a free
yeah.
product that we want to do, but no.
Yeah, here's Goat's thing here, but yeah, I mean, we've inquired at Terra for H100s, and when we first inquired about H100s, it actually said that it was limited to government only for a little while, right? There was a
Yeah.
few months where they wouldn't even let private companies purchase them. Since then, they've reopened up, but I know that there's very long wait times to get some of these really high end GPUs. Like some of it's over 52 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, wait a
It's
year.
yeah,
And
it's a
that's
yeah,
and that's part
long
of the
wait.
thing that we're fixing, right? So Flux is our Flux Edge product, and what you see now is folks like you and I providing, but we're bringing in bigger providers as well. And don't get scared, that doesn't affect the folks like you and I. That's for the bigger customers that we're looking and we're working with. They're looking for compute power. The demand has passed the supply back in February already. So people are looking actively for compute power wherever they can, however they can. So yeah, it's all coming together now, which is pretty cool, because I've been on these streams before and talking about it, and I had
Yeah.
the concept and I saw the product, and we had the roadmap in front of us, and but it's actually pretty damn cool to see it actually all coming together now, and seeing people use it. I get emails from companies that I'm sometimes very much surprised that they found us, and yeah, no, it's actually pretty cool. The companies that I'm able to start talking with, and I can't disclose, of course, anybody yet, but yeah, it's pretty cool. You'll see us expand very rapidly at one point, the moment we go into beta.
Do you guys think you guys are gonna have like a call to action? Like you guys are gonna need like a huge jump of GPUs possibly?
Yeah,
You
I've
know,
dropped it a few times already, right? So,
yeah.
and people always laugh and think that I'm joking, but no, I have a couple big orders lined up, so we have people ready to rent a ton of machines in the thousands. So yeah, we're in alpha, and we're doing the rollout the way we're doing for a reason, to make sure that we're all good to go. We don't want to be in the thousands of machines being rented out and then running into issues and then figuring out what's going on. No, we want to make sure we do it correctly, take our time. I know we're in the blockchain world and everything has to go fast and now, and everybody says when. But you have to keep in mind, you're talking to somebody out of the medical IT field. And for me, priority one was making sure that the IT stayed up and running. The software was available 24/7. And so I basically put up a lot of roadblocks internally as well when it comes to releases. Dan loves me for it, right, Dan? I'm sure he's still watching.
All right, let me pump in two more quick questions, and then I'll take a couple questions from the chat before we head off here. So, big question, because I know you're a Team Red fan like I am. I know you're Team Red. Do you now? I know some of the higher end, newer AMD GPUs support ROC M, right? Do you guys currently support that? You know, to work with the Edge and Flux Core. If I get a 7900 XT or XTX, will that be able to perform AI work with Flux?
Not in the production environment.
In the near future?
not in the production environment. Again, bringing those in would complicate things. Yeah, I know the ROCm cards are pretty damn good. AMD has a solid series with those cards, and I know there's a lot of folks who utilize them at this point for AI training and such. But I hate to say it, Team Green did an amazing job when it came to slowly, that word again, but surely introducing everybody to CUDA. Literally, Jensen put computers in all the bigger high schools way before anybody knew what CUDA was, way before anybody knew what AI was. He was already placing those type of machines with CUDA everywhere and teaching kids CUDA from that point already. So we're talking 10 plus years ago. He was teaching kids CUDA already. And now those folks are now the guys in the workforce, and they're all trained on CUDA. So they automatically gravitate to Team Green. And we've seen Intel, we've seen AMD trying to emulate, and I know there's some really good software coming out actually, and I've been talking with one particular software company that emulates CUDA, even on the AMD, etc. But at this point, focus is on Team Green. I hate to say it, because I do like my 580s and my 5700s, but it is what it is. Will that mean that they will never come on the platform? Absolutely not. We like to decentralize things, and every time we see a centralized piece, I like to split that up. So we will definitely get at one point some AMD support as well. But the focus at the moment in the alpha, definitely, and I'm pretty sure even in the beta, it'll be Team Green going forward.
All right, last one, because this one's been asked to me like a lot of times. Is people are wondering when you know that they're able to use Windows for the AI section, because currently it is not supported. So I get that question a lot. Is there any plan in the near future to do the Windows sometime this year, or is it going to be next year that Windows is going to take place? So I'm assuming you're doing something similar like Salad, where you're using the WSL, right? In Windows.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
Don't think Salad came with anything new.
No.
For the record, Salad can't do anything in Windows either properly. They even state that on their documentation. They took a couple of shortcuts, and we've seen that with other products as well. A lot of people took shortcuts, and it's going to start biting them in the behind. I'll keep it nice for some of the products that they have, and kudos to these guys, however they did it and get the market share that they have. But in the long run, it's not going to work for a lot of corporations and enterprises out there, because they will need guarantees that these guys will never be able to provide. So that's the biggest issue with Windows, is the fact that it's WSL, and natively there's no real support to work correctly with Kubernetes and WSL and graphic cards. So we have solutions, and we're going to be able to release those soon enough. So yes, you will be able to utilize them, but there might be some caveats on what they actually will be able to do. So depending on whatever job load it is, we might not provide them on the edge side, just because of security concerns.
Well, appreciate all the
But
answers.
currently, we have it running in dev. We were able to utilize it. So there was there was an issue with Windows itself, and now it's a driver issue that needs to be resolved still.
So if it does come, it's going to be limited in what it can do as far as a workload.
Yes, and Glenn is right. There is an NVIDIA device plugin for WSL, but he might not be aware that there might be some compatibility issues on certain pieces with Kubernetes.
So not
I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to dive into the
Yeah.
technical pieces.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is some pieces to it that you need to that we need
And
to
what
factor.
are you doing, Dave? Thank you for the $9.99 super chat, veteran miner. Love what you guys do. Appreciate it, buddy. Appreciate it, Dave. So if you guys got some questions for the last 10 minutes before we head out here, we'll take some questions from the crowd. You guys go ahead and ping them in. I'll try to get as many questions as I get in. I do have to get on the road because I don't want to be driving at 1 o'clock in the morning to Kansas. So we'll try to get as many of these questions into Jefke. So whatever you guys have, shoot them away.
Well, and if you don't get an answer today, join us in the AMA tomorrow, and we'll answer them tomorrow. So.
Yeah, there's probably a few things that they're not willing, that Jefke's not willing to leak anyways. He's gonna leave it to Dan.
Well, I'm not gonna steal the thunder for tomorrow either, but there's so much stuff coming. But tomorrow it's all about Flux AI and Flux.
And what time is that again tomorrow, Jefke?
I think it's 8 Central my time, so 9 a.m. Eastern.
9 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
Goat ask, when Project Mayhem?
Stay tuned.
Maybe check in tomorrow.
Maybe check in tomorrow. I don't know if we're gonna answer that one tomorrow, but it's definitely something that myself and Dan really feel very. We feel there's a need for it. The amount of misinformation thanks to AI these days is scary, and AI is getting so damn good. And keep in mind, if you compare just today AI with a year ago,
it's been leaps and bounds.
You were there when we were at Fort Lauderdale, and we were showcasing the early proof of concept of Edge with those images. And I don't know if you remember what was it, the moose in the mountain? And the moose with like a bit of a crooked thing. If I ask today Flux AI, if I ask a moose in the mountain, it's a proper moose in the mountain, and I can even make it photorealistic, and I can make it comic style. It's scary. It's scary. It's scary.
Well, this is kind of a complicated question. Glenn asked, looking back, was it?
See, I knew that question would come, right?
Yeah,
I said that earlier.
He said it earlier. I was waiting for him to ask it again. Was it a mistake for Flux to pursue such a large development route with so many projects happening simultaneously?
No, not at all. Is it a mistake? No. Is it a risk? Yes. But if we don't do anything, then you get stagnant, and stagnation is equals the death of a company, right? So you guys with Terra itself, like, started small scale, but now how many data centers you have now? 2, 3? So you guys start working out.
Yeah, and
hey,
we're working on building
H100s.
Yeah, we're working on building our own right now, and it's gonna be it's crazy. It's you kind of always have to push the boat forward all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No matter what's going on in the company, whether it seems like you things might be slowing down or whatever, you always have to push the boat forward.
But no, we don't feel it as a mistake, and I keep saying it, but I keep saying this week. The reason I keep saying this week, I took time off for the first time in 3 years, I think. But we actually talked about it this week as well. Like, do we feel happy with the progress we've made? Are we okay? The size of the team has grown so much. The first conversations about, we called it proof of use for work at that point, was more than 2 years ago. That was me and Dan talking about how could we use miners for more compute pieces out of it. And the reason I asked Dan at that point, and we had that conversation, was because my medical IT background, I had doctors coming to me with, "Hey, I got this cool script. I want to run it on carts," and I was just blown away by the cost of everything. So that got the conversation going, and then we had this young kid out of Switzerland at roughly the same time come with an idea to us, and we're like, "That's it. That's literally what we want to do." And that team now, and me and Alex, we have to count now how many people we have, but we've grown a lot, and we've invested a lot of it, and it's smart investing, and we're getting to the point now where, yeah, we're talking with companies now that we never imagined having a conversation with, just to keep things going. So no, it's definitely not a mistake. It was the right call. Has it changed a little bit? It has changed a lot of what we originally envisioned, based on limitations and based on lessons learned. Also the market itself, new technology that has come out, type of partnerships that we've created. It only has been better and better.
Goat has a lot of questions for you here, so
it
you
seems so. I haven't talked to Goat for a long time, so I'm sure he has a lot of questions.
When Project Juggernaut? Oh, that's another quiet one. It looks like you're gonna have to come tomorrow, Goat. And then he asks, when Flux 2025 public roadmap?
The guys are working on that, actually. Yeah, there's a. It was quite the undertaking, actually, because there's a lot of products now. So before that,
Yeah.
it was, you had Zalcor, and you had Flux, the Flux Cloud or Flux OS, and that was it. And that was easy to manage. And now it's like, hey, Davey, what's your team doing? What's the roadmap for the business dev team? Okay. Let me list it all up. And before I knew it, I was like, okay, I'm at 4 pages here. Let me try and condense that. And that was just my department. I'm not even talking the Flux Edge department, Flux Core, which is then the sub department of that. We have Flux OS. We got now SSP Wallet. We got Zalcor fully in-house now as well. So we have a roadmap for that. We got a support team. What's the roadmap for them? Because everybody and their uncle within Flux, we basically came together, and I believe it fell all on Caroline to compile it and see where we are with the roadmap. But it's definitely coming. There's a lot on our plate, a lot.
Yeah, you have to take all the information and condense it down and make it into a nice, beautiful picture, right? With the with like 3 or 4 words per item.
Yeah, and see if you can fit it on a 1-pager, and if you know that
yeah.
Just my department, and we're not even the development team already has 4 pages, and that's not a joke. Yeah. Well, it's all the flying geek. I know. It's I've been just flying all over the place. So drinking the margaritas and all these beaches, it takes up a lot of time.
Dave's asking if you guys are going to be at Mining Disrupt next year. You guys weren't there this year, but you guys were there the previous year.
We were there the previous year. We were not this year. The reason we were not there this year was, well, priorities. I didn't want to take any cycles away from the guys building things out. And at the same time, I can't split myself up. And I made the decision to go to a medical conference in Washington. I think it was just right before that or just after that. So I didn't really line up with what was available. So will we be there next year? Depends on location, depends on timing. There's that's one of the things that seems to be changing as well with Mining Disrupt, and we saw that now with Nashville with Bitcoin. Depends.
So I noticed, though, just before we get off, I noticed that there's a Flux Nodes button here in the Flux Core, and I'm not able to click on it yet.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
When will the button be highlighted? And what is that button? Is that for me to just see my Flux nodes, or is that a button where I create Flux nodes or my own Flux nodes? Are you able to elaborate on that at all, or is it both?
It's a yes. So you'll be able to see your own. You'll be able to manage your nodes. You'll be able to see. You'll be able to stand up a node on your machines. If you want to, let's say you have a big rig or an epic machine, and you say, hey, can I allocate some of this resources to a node? You'll be able to do so. So yeah, there's it's Flux Core itself will be kind of like a big management tool for a lot of the products.
Would you be able to rent services from the Flux Edge to stand up your node, not just use your own rig? He's not. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. I have a crowbar, and I'm prying in right now.
No, there's a lot of ideas. Will those ideas all make it into the product at one point? That depends on how fast we can get other pieces going. The node installation itself, and that's a lot of kudos to the developers itself, but also to the community. And I hate to say it, to Tech Doofus as well. But node installations have become rather easy compared to what it used to be. But yeah, you can. We're working on making that always better. Even the installation piece on the Flux Edge sites, that's improving. So everything and anything gets better and better. And we want to make sure that Flux Core becomes like an easy to use tool where you can mine or make it easier to mine, but you can also do node management. You can rent, and all the fun stuff.
Well, it's been about an hour, Mr. Jefke. I hate to cut our time short because I could be here all night.
Good. Oh, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
We can always do this again. It's Friday evening. I do have some work to do still, but I got a lot of time tonight. So.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. We'll have to start
Let's
doing
do one more
more
question.
often. One more. Let's see if anyone else says. Let's do one more. Okay. Glenn has another question here. It's a long and tough one. Is node development still going on, and when will it become more open to open source apps so it can be used without the pre-qualification process? Oh, he said without pre-qualification process twice. Okay.
I think he means, and Glenn will correct me, I think he means the GitHub approval, right? That guys had to do, that you had to make sure if you wanted to run something that you had to have it added to the GitHub or something. Yep. So that's no longer there.
Yeah, he said yeah.
Yeah.
So
there's no approval process. It's fully open.
There you go, Glenn. The doors are open.
We even had somebody. It was pretty cool the other day. It was I think somebody was using AI on the cloud network. I don't know exactly what he did, but it was pretty damn cool. And we had some people complain because their machines were used, and we're like, yeah, it's the software being running on your machine. So, but yeah, there's some. Every time we open something up or we change something, and there's some lessons that we can learn from it. So we did learn some of these things from it. We had some people complain that they figured it was they thought it was mining. It's not. It was pure AI. But yeah, there will be some changes coming here and there. But at this point, it's completely open, and unless we see, unless it's a really bad thing or something that we can always do a fork or something. But at this point, it's open.
And what I noticed too, and this is just me, but miners they are just on it when it comes to their machines being used. like full power CPUs, GPUs. They are so like, it took me a while to let go, right? But guys, I'm telling you, when you're running compute or AI, it is far more profitable, okay, to do it even at full tilt. All right. Just let the machine do the work. All right. Let it print you the money. Okay. All right. Like these guys, they always say to me, like whenever I'm doing stuff like that, oh man, can I just down tune it? I'm like, why would you want to down tune the machine? Why are you going to try to you're kind of stealing from your customer, right? Because you're not giving them the full benefit of your machine. Like you got to think about this. You are a provider and you're like your own data center, right? I'm the Mining King data center, right? I'm providing a product to somebody, right? I want them to want my product every time they come to me. I don't want to be like, well, that guy over there, for some reason, whenever I'm running my AI over there, it always crashes. And it's probably because this guy's down tuning his cars and he's being a jerk off. You know what I mean? I don't want to be that guy. You know what I mean? I want them to say, man, I want to rent his machines all the time because I know they're good, you know?
Yeah,
So it's kind of,
you want those customers that stick around for 2 weeks or longer because they trust that machine. They know that that's a good machine. So there's definitely that coming. We're working on something that gets recognition as well. So if you're a small company or a small startup, that you get that recognition as well, so that people can recognize the brand, so they can go back easily to the same provider. So yeah, you're absolutely right. We get the question a lot: where do I put the power limit lower for my AI usage? And we're like, that's not really how that works, guys. Well, you could, but it's not going to be.
What it's going to happen is it's going to force them to to everything to stop, right? And then they're going to not rent your machine. Like I'm trying, like, it took me a while to do this, but like as a miner, and if you're going to go into AI, you just quit worrying about the power, okay? And just build the machine and they will come. All right. That's all you got to do. Okay. Like you don't have to undervolt it or anything. I don't undervolt any of my stuff ever. I've never needed to do that ever.
Think about it. There's a lot of stress put on that card. You might see some instability, and when your rig goes down, you get hit, and you get hit twice. One, you get less pay, and secondly, it's a bad mark on your rate. And,
yeah.
I ask Max Voltage how it's going with his rig, and sorry, Max.
I think he had a reset. I think he had a reset or something like that because he had a few little issues go on there. But yeah, that's essentially what it is. See, like if you down tune too much, right, you get those bad check marks, and then guess what? You're gonna have to make a whole new account and go through all this stuff again.
Yeah, and it's we're already figuring out things there as well, because I know people will game the rig.
Right. Right. They'll game the system and they'll just make new IDs and stuff like that. So exactly, there's no need to ever down tune your AI rig ever.
Wait until you get the 50 series coming. I think I saw the 5090 doing 600 watts a card.
Well, I mean, the 4090s can do that if you have all four of them hooked up.
Yeah,
they can pull that. So that one rig over there that I'm running the 4090 with Flux Core, 787 ish, 775 with the i9 and the 4090 in it. So I'm using like 800 watts pretty much consistently.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you break down the electric though, and what the hourly rate is there though, I'm still like 55% profit. You know what I mean? So you got to think about that as far as like from a company perspective, like when companies have, revenue and profit, right? Like anything above like 30% is like outstanding, right? Most companies operate between 15 to 30% profit margins. So think about that. You guys are making 55% and you're like, hey, I want to squeeze another 5% in. All right. That's what these guys are doing. I'm like, guys, you guys were killing it right now.
No, I get that, but at the same time, is that 5% sometimes worth the risk that you get dinged again twice? Yeah, it's a give and take. But there will be edges evolving. Edge will have more and more things coming in. I said that way back, and there will be even KYC at one point. Doesn't have to be for everybody, but it'll come with some extra perks, recognizable and recognition, and all that fun stuff. So yeah, there will be more and more tools coming. This is the basic that we have right now.
Right, it's the framework
basic.
of the.
It's the framework, and now we start adding all the bells and whistles as we go. I don't know if you guys have paid attention to the updates, but every time there's an update, it's like a page of things that have.
Yeah, it's a lot. And okay, here's my other question though: is you don't want to run the update while you're being rented, right?
You can.
It's going to take it down.
You can. Yeah, you can. Because of the software we're using in the back end, you can. So Flux Core and the backend software is two pieces, so we can do upgrades.
Okay, so I don't have to worry about it like updating, doing a reboot or something like that or anything, right?
No, it should be fine.
Okay,
but again, you take your own risk in that, right? So Windows says this. We're IT guys here. ESXi, when you run ESXi, it says, yeah, you can do updates. That's just fine. I've been in those change management meetings where they're like, yeah, we can just do this during the hours. It's fine. And I'm like, no, guys, after hours. I'm not taking that risk.
Exactly. Well, all right. Thank you so much, Jefke, for hanging out with me. We'll have to do this again when you have free time, obviously. Appreciate everybody hanging out, and be sure to go check out the new Flux AI, and be sure to also stay tuned tomorrow for the state of Flux, and that's at 9 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow, right, Jefke?
That's correct. Yep, that's correct.
All right, guys. You guys have a great Friday, and thank you again for hanging out with us.
See ya.